You know, modern Lego games are not bad at all, but once you have played like two of them, they are all the same, just with a different big pop culture IP attached to it. Please don't call me a boomer, but back in my day, we got experiences that maybe weren't really that great nowadays, but they were unique and fun to our younger brains, and that is what counts, right? The biggest case here is Lego. I know it's Lego in English, but I prefer to say the German way, Island 1. A weird open world adventure game that is just allowing you to walk around the island and do what you want. There is no story really, except for one big climax moment that for me as a kid always felt like the final mission, because it is. First, you are allowed to pick as what character you want to play as in the information center, and it doesn't really matter except for the cool intro cutscene you get to see. They all have the same missions, but the way other characters talk to them is obviously different. Would be weird if they talk to the cop the same way as they would talk to the teenage boy Pepper, who kinda became the face of the franchise. There's just something so nice about these little videos you get to see for each character. The whole game in general has that amazing grainy 90s CGI look inside of the buildings that you never really appreciated as a kid, but now you look at it and think, man, there's just something special about this stuff. Also, look at this amazing spinning 3D cube. For sure one of the best cubes ever in a video game. It shows you your progress and what quests you have done with each character, and it also allows you to watch the game build those little city sets in the corner while your wife is busy with one of her boyfriends. You can even go to the highest floor of it after passing the somewhat dangerous water tank section of the information center. I'm sure the shark is friendly. Despite popular belief, sharks are not that dangerous, but if you can, keep your distance anyways. Look at the view, better than any other view you could get from some fancy overpriced 5-star hotel in the city of Barcelona. Overseeing the whole island and being allowed to feel like God when you change the color of the sky and making it day or night whenever you feel like it. What's cooler than changing the time of day, being able to throw a paper plane over the whole island, or letting the pet monkey out? What was he doing inside of it? We will never know. I always loved these kind of games as a kid, where you could just click anything and it would do some random action. A stark contrast to your usual life, where everything is just the same and boring cycle, and there's no animals in your closet, which is a good thing since that would be bad for the animal. So what do you usually do in this game? Nothing really. You just walk around and explore and see what the island has to offer. The random events that just happen while you do that are my favorite thing about this game nowadays. Everyone on this island is pretty crazy and there's always something happening. Like this poor family dad never being able to see his kids again after this little accident that leaves him a bit headless. Maybe he was actually evil and Karma got him, so I won't have to feel bad for him. We will never know. Or just a little Beatles reference that you wouldn't get unless your parents were big fans of the Beatles. So you probably understood it if you're British. I have no idea if my game was totally bugged out or if it was normal for them to just disappear and have a girl show up without pants. And legs. Even though pants and legs are the same for the Lego people, I guess. Wiggling the camera around also made the Beatles come back for a split second, but they were bald. I'm sure back in the day someone would have turned this into a creepypasta. And there's just so much of this, minding your own business while the people here do their crazy antics that nowadays make you feel, what were they thinking with these? The random animations of them turning bigger or smaller and flying them all across the screen, being able to click on them and changing whatever they have on their head, pressing the Z button to make all the trees on the island dance. It was perfect for kids who wanted to just have silly things happen. It would still work in the current year probably. Put a kid in front of the PC and let them explore it and they will have the time of their life. The actual missions of the game are something that make you think you're playing GTA. Being allowed to drive the ambulance around, delivering pizza, doing races and things like that. But it's not just GTA, but also Need for Speed Underground, because you can build and pimp your own ride. Sadly, you can't put some consoles into the back of the racing car or truck. I always wondered how many people actually used those after they got their car back from exhibit. One cute thing I noticed for the first time when doing the ambulance mission was that driving past the gas station actually fills up your gas again. I don't know if I just don't remember it anymore from when I played as a kid or teenager, but I thought it was a nice touch. I'm impressed by little things like this way too easily. It makes you feel that the people who worked on the game gave it that extra bit of love. There's also a jet ski race that's pretty radical and groovy. Just listen to Bill Ding when you build your jet ski and you will realize how sick it is. And yes, his name really is Bill Ding, because you're building something when he's around. He's pretty damn annoying though. Sorry, Bill Ding.
You're my least favorite Lego Island person. Please leave this island immediately.
Oh, I'm building, and you're building. Well, I am stoked now. Whoa, drag. But drag isn't a drag, if you know what I mean. Whoa, and we'll rotate your ski for a better look ski. And like you can go totally bonkers in the bay. Totally cool. Hey.
After you build the racing car, you can join the biggest race of them all, a fast Formula 1 racetrack in a big tunnel under the island filled with giant pizza and a big octopus and the biggest skeleton you will ever see in a video game. That's a lot of big things, can't relate to that as a short person, even though it means most things are big to me, so I can actually relate. I am not afraid to admit that as a kid this huge skeleton actually scared me. I'm not sure what's worse to get scared by, him or the ghost from Hype the Time Quest, so even Lego's big rival Playmobil somehow was able to scare me, despite the ghost looking like bed sheets. At least I never got scared by the piano in Mario 64, so I got more courage than most people. Here the skeleton can really mess you up though, because he will just kick you away, the only way to really lose the race. Or the other way to lose would be the controls, because they're way too sensitive, just like my poor little heart sometimes. You just go left and right way too fast and there's no way to change it. It's hard to keep it in the middle, and while the racing track is wide and far, it's way harder on these little paths on the island. Not like it matters, but you will keep getting stuck against the edges of these paths and makes you just want to stick to the roads instead. You can use the mouse to drag yourself across the island, which I would not recommend, but the other way to move is to use the arrow keys, and back when I was young the arrow keys were the way to move in games for me. WASD, yes I said it the German way because it's shorter, was not a thing to me as a kid really till later. Doesn't matter here since only the arrow keys work, so you have to hold your mouse in the right hand and have the left hand on the arrow keys, and it just feels so awkward to have your left arm in that position for so long nowadays. It tries so hard to give you cramps. Another funny thing about the vehicles is when you let go of them at high speed, they just continue on and find their way back to their usual location. Like you try going back to the gas station and your skateboard just doing whatever it wants. Look at it go. The game also has one of the biggest gaming mysteries to me as a kid, even bigger than Bigfoot and San Andreas. This door, this damn door that makes you think it's possible to open it somehow. There isn't a way though, nothing you can do except for trying everything your little kid brain could think of. Getting 100%, pressing random buttons, clicking on it for 100 times to maybe get a new piece of dialogue, clicking on the chest to maybe get a key out of it if you do it often enough. But nope, there's only a ghost kitty here. Really cute.
You know, you can take loverly pictures any place on the island just by clicking on the print screen button on your keyboard and
My own little theory, not a game theory, I had as a kid was that the door connects to the information center, because at the top of it you can click on one of the doors too and have the same person talk to you.
I'll tell ye one tiny clue if you leave me be.
The one behind the door in the cave, so I thought maybe it's another warp point somehow, combined with a secret tunnel, since most places can teleport you right back to the center if you press the logo of it. Sadly there's nothing behind it, and it was just supposed to be a little tease for one of their other Lego related games that were cancelled. This was the only Lego game they made. After that the series was given to Silicon Dreams instead, that basically only made football games before, and it's surprising how they were able to make such a great game with Lego Island 2 if you look at the other games. I even own one of their other games, the game for the Champions League season of 2001. Was a shitty season for Dortmund in the Champions League, but damn, it was an amazingly close battle to become the champions of the Bundesliga, and also got close to winning the UEFA Cup before the tough times for the club arrived. I know nobody here cares about football, I will continue talking about Lego. Sorry. There is an ending to the game, kinda like I said earlier. Normally if you deliver pizza with pepper when you don't have a helicopter, nothing happens. But when you have one built, then the Brickster actually bricks out, and everyone just blames you for it. I felt really bad as a kid for doing it, since everyone just starts berating you, except your mom. You can always count on your mom, hopefully. At least the dad makes puns to make up for it, but I hate puns, so I hate him. If I was his son, I would take over the pizza place and shut it down so he suffers for the rest of his life, because he's at fault for giving so much responsibility to me.
I could feel it in my knees.
Papa, you are imagining those things.
Imagining knees?
It's also the only way to get food on this island, so everyone else would just starve. Sorry. but now you have to follow the Brickster, who for some reason just steals an ambulance instead of using the helicopter because he destroyed the helicopter, and now you have to pick up the pieces he's losing and then find the ones he put somewhere. How to find them? They make the sound the closer you get to them, while the overall music also puts you on edge.
As you know, Pepper, but I just don't want to remember Lego Island this way. We've got to find those bricks, Pepper. Go to it.
After doing that, you get to fly the helicopter and have to make the cops run into the Brickster by throwing pizzas or donuts onto the way. The cops go faster when they see donuts, and the Brickster goes faster towards the pizza. And he also gets stuck on the donuts. When I was playing this mission, one of the cops just got stuck, same with the Brickster. Now I would have to wait for the other cop to maybe eat some of the donuts so I can shoot them again, since you don't have unlimited donuts and pizzas, and have to wait for the ones on the floor to be eaten, but she never came. So to make it really retro, I downloaded 54 megabytes of video from one of my old Lego Island episodes when Let's Plays were the hot new shit, where I did the mission, and also got stuck on it for a bit. Maybe I'm just really bad at this. So enjoy seeing the ending cutscene in its intended 480p quality. It's more like 360, but you know, back in the day, I had bad internet. They sure know how to throw a party. There's also a bad ending, and it was supposed to make you feel even more depressed, but they deemed it as too scary for kids. It would have just prepared you for your later life, seeing depressed people all around you. Sometimes you gotta learn early how hard life can be. The game doesn't really offer much more after you've seen most of the random events and have completed the actual missions with like 2 characters. You can force me to do another playthrough with some changes here and there in a game like Nier, but in Lego Island nowadays, no way. But as a kid it was a total dream. It felt at least 20 times bigger than it actually was. While playing with yourself in this world, getting immersed and making up your own storylines about how you live here. Before you get concerned for me, yes, I did have friends as a kid and didn't just live in my make-pretend world of Lego Island. I have to say, the soundtrack of the game is amazing. There's tons of bangers on the jukebox, and you should go listen to some of them, like Mamma Papa Briccolini or Brick by Brick. Some of the best vocal songs in any game ever. It belongs in the top 10 of most amazing video game soundtracks, or maybe top 100 at least.
And Laura told Nick, you can move a mountain if you do it brick by brick.
It's a game that makes me think it's what Lego was all about back in the day, their own creations and also yours. Something that continued with Lego Island 2 later, building up the whole Pepper storyline and ending with Island Xtreme Stunts, which I never liked too much. Probably because when I got it as a kid it didn't work on the family PC, since I didn't know what system requirements are. So I'm a bit biased against it, and finally playing it as an adult on the PlayStation 2 on an emulator made me think, well, it's a bunch of minigames. Lego Island 2 felt like a total adventure, while this one felt like a step back. Even without my nostalgic feelings for the other Island games, I would probably think it's the worst one. After that, it got really quiet with these kind of games. If you look at the list of original Lego games, there's still a whole bunch that came after, but the only other game that fulfilled that Lego Island itch was Lego City Undercover, a game that's also over 10 years old at this point. The state of the Lego games kinda mirrors the state of the actual company for me. Instead of creative sets, you just pump out overpriced sets that are more about a collapse and are aimed at collectors. Another personal story, I like to put these at the end so I don't annoy people if they just want to hear about the actual game I had with the game, was making Let's Play, like I said earlier, of it back in the day, and having that kind of moment that as an adult makes me think, why did I do this? I recorded an episode with a special guest, my Fin plushie, a plushie that belonged to basically a Tamagotchi game with a blue dolphin bird thing. He's really cute, and if you press on his tummy, he makes noises, so I would ask a question to him and answer it by making him do these sounds and pretend I totally understood what you just said.
Weil wenn man drauf drückt, macht sie diese Geräusche. Fin, sag mal Hallo.
It doesn't really make me cringe, but I still feel a little bit embarrassed about it. Luckily there's only 87 people who got to see it, and all of them already forgot about it, hopefully. And also you know, but you only got a little glimpse of it. Sometimes I like to watch my own old Let's Plays that I will forever keep on private for my own enjoyment, to laugh at myself. Even though it's a bit scary how little I actually have changed from back then. Maybe one day I will download all of these videos and upload them on a new channel, maybe when I disappear from the internet right after. I still had my fun finally returning to Lego Island again after a long break from it. I would totally take a vacation on this island, even if those crazy things are happening to me, except maybe the one with the car and losing your head. I don't think that would do any good to me as an old person that can't just put their head back on. I always am lost inside of my head every night before I try to fall asleep because my past sins are keeping me awake for longer than needed anyways. I kinda want to build some Lego stuff now, but there comes a point in your family life where your box of random Lego pieces get passed down to the next generation, and since my sister has kids, that's where it went, so no Lego for me, unless I have my own kids one day, but I think the sun exploding in our lifetime is more likely to happen than finding a partner for me, so... Lego Island 2, I will keep saying Lego instead of Lego since I'm just so used to it as a German, was one of my favorite games as a kid. But what about nowadays? I played every version of it again, or for my first time ever, to see if it's still as charming as it always was. So let's get to building some bricks. Let's start with the worst version, the Game Boy Color one, which I had as a kid, and even back then I already knew it's not the best, especially since I also had the PC game. I swear I was not a spoiled brat who had tons of video games. You get told to bring a pizza to the Brickster and that's what you do, but oh no, he has his dragon breath technique ready to break out yet again. How about we just don't let him eat any pizza anymore? Is it too hard to do for people on Lego Island? Is not getting pizza worse than the death sentence here? So you go around, having to deliver some pickaxe to a building, so he lets you pass by on the road, aimlessly skating till you go to the right spot just so you can fall down into a hole that the Brickster bots have shoveled for you, which reveals some ancient underground tunnel under the island that you have to escape from because your big brain can solve these insane puzzles. As a Bioshock Infinite player, I obviously have the brain power to easily do this on my first try. Sometimes I scare myself with how smart I am. I have actually never played Bioshock Infinite. After some sick jumps and some more hard puzzles, you get to fight your first boss fight, the Rock Monster from Lego Rock Raiders. A game I always wanted to have on PC but never got. See, I didn't got every game I wanted. Confirmed to not be a spoiled child. Just shoot pizza into his mouth and win. I like to imagine Pepper shoots the pizza right into his mouth, so he eats them and gets sick from eating too much, instead of a rock monster getting defeated by getting shot by pizza, which doesn't make sense. It made me wish this whole section would have also existed in the real version of the game. Could have been cool. Luckily, one thing that didn't make it into any other game was the stealth part. Nobody likes stealth in a game not made for it. It may only take 20 seconds, but I failed once, so I tried to be fast this time and failed again. And maybe again because that's what always happens. Instead of shortly taking your time, you just want to do it fast and end up taking longer thanks to your own stubbornness. So you escape and end up in the jungle, getting attacked by the people living here and then getting magically teleported away since they don't want you to know their secrets. We all have those. If you tell me one of your secrets, I will tell you one of mine. Also, I love these little pixel art cutscenes, even if they're just a still image. One of the few nice things I can really say about the game since it's just walking. No minigames, nothing else really happens, and I'm already tired talking about it because there's nothing to talk about. Now you're in the Middle Ages. Go through a maze where people had way too much paint on their feet and walked all over it for whatever reason. Go back and forth a few times and then you finally get something resembling actual gameplay again. A boss fight where you just have to avoid the baddie. Even though in real life you don't want to avoid the baddies, do you? Oh, I forgot to mention there was a pseudo-stealth section before that, where you have to avoid getting into the line of sight of the bandits, but at least you got an upgraded pizza shooter at this stage that can knock back enemies. But it doesn't really truly help too much anyways. Then we go to Ogle Island, an island made by the Brickster in space. I always thought this was just the moon, also we spell Ogle backwards, it means Lego. Go through a dumb maze again and fight against the multi-phase final boss battle where it becomes maybe 2% fun. I mean, it said a lot already that I said I didn't like the game too much as a kid. It's not unusual to play a game again that you loved as a kiddo and then end up not enjoying it anymore as an adult. But did that ever happen the other way around? Hating a game as a kid and then loving it as an adult? I personally can't think of one. During the game, you can also pick up trading cards, and here I can say the most positive thing about it. I love the art here. It feels like this is where all the love went instead of into the actual game. You can even trade them. I will trade you one of my Mama Briccolinis for one of the cards I haven't gotten, since I got 5 of her. Imagine doing a 100% speedrun of this game and you have to keep playing the game over and over till you get all the cards since they look to be randomized. I think playing Russian roulette sounds more appealing to me. The Game Boy Advance version should have been called Fetch Quest the Game, and somehow I enjoyed my time with it. Remember those Cartoon Network resort games where you have to find an item and bring it to one of the Powerpuff Girls and then carry some other item to that cowardly dog, and that was basically the whole game? Same deal here, just with some lame minigames in between. In all the other games, it's your fault that the Brickster escaped. Here, it wasn't. Someone else delivered an extra spicy pizza to him, but it's still you who has to fix all of this mess. Because you're the dude with the food, I guess. If I were an underpaid pizza delivery driver, I would most likely also let the Brickster escape to show my boss what I think of him. What are they gonna do? Put me into jail even though they only have one cell, so it's either between me and the Brickster? I survived 4 years in jail once. A few more can't hurt me too much. It's also the biggest Lego island ever. The other games feel a bit empty and small, but here you have tons of random NPCs that have some really weird dialogue at times. Some of them have joined the cult. Tons of boomers complaining about young kids and how everything back in the days was better. This guy wants to be a tree. Something is just off about these people. Maybe it's just Florida. And then there's also the lighthouse keeper who wants you to bring him a fish so he can cook it for dinner to impress his lady friend. Which implies he will be getting laid later today, so sex in Lego Island is real. The Brickster also keeps burping right into your face and sometimes just randomly appears and makes fun of you. Just like how the Informaniac walks right into your house without you even asking him to. Get the hell out, I don't want old men in my house, I'm not into that. Except for myself when I become old enough. Hopefully I never will. And that's all you do, with some minigames sprinkled in, like having to pick apples without worms inside of them. Why is they so photorealistic? What about this crab? Wouldn't a Lego crab or kraken be good enough? I like it this way though, makes it stand out and shows the developers at least had some fun making it. Or maybe it was total torture for them anyways. What I loved was that getting to the Middle Ages here wasn't some time portal you had to go through. Instead it's a little island that's modeled after one of those medieval fairs. Throwing cakes and just having tons of fun, if you're into that. I'm into having fun, who isn't? Fun is great, yay. It's a bit disappointing that the desert or jungle section is just a bunch of minigames in a row without you being able to explore even just a tiny bit of it. Also the map of it is just really ugly. I don't want to spend a single second more looking at it. The drum minigame track goes really hard though. Now I just want to play some Donkey Kong instead. Before the final boss, there's this jump in one part that makes you think why. The normal platforming tower in the real version of Lego Island 2 is fun, short and makes you think the game could have had a couple more of those. Here, you want to end it all, you want to see the world burn when playing it. It doesn't look too bad, does it? But there's random bricks getting thrown at you from the Brickster bots and you have almost no time to react, and they work like in Mario whenever you get burned. Pepper just wants a bit more than you want him to into a direction and you fall again, and maybe even fall again. Yeah, it may have only taken me 8 minutes to beat this, but those were the worst 8 minutes I had in 2025 so far, and they probably won't be beaten, hopefully. And the final battle is just you having to press the shoot button to hit the Brickster's wall to destroy it, and then feed him some pizza, without even getting rewarded. You don't see a little cutscene where you beat him and get back to Lego Island or something like that, it's just over. Like I said, I somehow enjoyed it. Mostly the walking around part. I can't even explain why. Maybe it really is just because of all the nostalgic feelings I had for the Cartoon Network resort games and it made me feel young again. I once almost died because I ate some ice cubes while being on the PC and playing Cartoon Network Flash games, but one of the ice cubes went down my throat and it tried to choke me out, but luckily my sister punched me onto my back a couple of times and saved me. I don't actually know if I would have died. Probably not. Also, I think the game would have been a bit better if the cam was more zoomed out. It just feels a bit too close to Pepper for me. Would have helped with finding a way around. You also can't drive your skateboard on the road. You always have to use the zebra stripes to cross the road, which is dumb. When I cross the road, I always look right and left, sometimes even take a double look to make sure no car is coming, and you should too. The trading cards in this game are also way uglier, so I didn't really want to talk about them. Look at how big they look on the ground. The PC version of Lego Island 2 is like going to the supermarket and it has everything you would want, while the PS1 version is a smaller store that has a bunch of your favorite snacks missing, but the supermarket is 5 kilometers away, while the tiny store is right around the corner. So you think to yourself, do I just quickly go to the small store or the big store? The biggest argument for the PC version is that the loading times on the PS1 are horrendous, atrocious even. Every time you enter a minigame or house and you have to get back out of it, it takes almost a solid minute. How? Sure, the game looks fairly pretty, but nothing about it makes you think it really needs to load that long. And well, the computer version has some more minigames, like fishing, that the PlayStation 1 version is missing. Fishing and missing are like rhymes. Too bad that on modern computers, Lego Island 2 has some problems, like how some things are tied to the frame rate, like these butterflies in the main menu, and there's an unbeatable minigame in the game later that once upon a time ruined one of my playthroughs. But I tried to play it again and I couldn't even get to it because it just crashed on another minigame all the time regardless of what I did. So I could only play around half of the PC version again. All the footage from some of the PC only minigames later on in the game will be taken from Mr. HB1's walkthrough on YouTube. Luckily there's not that much missing from the PS1 version. And I have to say, I prefer the console version just for the camera alone anyways. On PC it's one of those games that wants you to mostly play it with the keyboard, so both hands are on there, but the camera sometimes gets stuck on buildings and changes it around, and to move the camera you have to move the mouse, so you have to let go of your keyboard and move the mouse and get the hand back onto the keyboard, and it's just annoying with how often it happens. I love the random Brickster bot on the right here in the main menu. What is he doing here? It starts by having to deliver pizza to people so they give you bricks for your house, which is pretty neat. I wish I would have had my own house already as a teenager. It teaches you the motto of Lego Island 2, having to walk around and find things on the island, because you will have to do that a lot. Some people want pizza, some don't, or just ignore the people that want the pizza and skate around in the skate park with broken physics. It certainly worked better in the PS1 version for me here. But again, the last pizza has to be delivered to the Brickster and he breaks out, who could have thought. I do love the animations of the Brickster bot just flying against stuff, some good old classic slapstick humor. If I could fly, then I would most likely also splash against the bridge. Even birds do that sometimes. Maybe there never was a Lego Island 4, since after the third one they learned to not give pizza out to him anymore though. You gotta catch all the colored Brickster bots now, and also the pages to rebuild the buildings by building. Yep, building is back here, just like how he was in the first game, the guy who allowed you to build your own car or helicopter. I still love his punny name, the only acceptable pun. On PC the pages are really easy to find because of the fancy light boat laser thingy that shoots up into the sky and can be seen from a distance because the render distance is way higher, while on the PS1 their light is barely noticeable and you can't see too far. But on that version, if you walk into a different direction while holding the camera stick into the opposite direction, you walk way faster than normally. Or maybe it just looks like it does, but I swear you go faster this way. Maybe I'm just slowly going insane. Slowly is a good way for this because the skateboard feels slow as hell, especially since you always have to also watch the animation of it. It just takes so long to get it out and also to tuck it away. You can also drive cars, but I don't really want to drive cars if I got a cool skateboard. There are a few mods for Lego Island 2 on PC that actually make the skateboard faster, but I didn't want to use them to get the actual experience of it. First step, the Middle Ages. In these little levels you get to walk around and collect items like grails or crystals, and they do absolutely nothing, except for giving you some points for your high score, which does nothing really. Or have you ever met a person that bragged about their Lego Island 2 high score? I haven't, so you can just totally ignore these things and go straight for the minigames. Like the collect the bricks from the water to build a bridge again, this time with the actual Kraken and not some fairly realistic crab. I have to say, the crab is actually cooler than this Kraken. They should have put a photorealistic Kraken in here. Maybe some realistic apples too. Would a Kraken eat an apple if you gave him one? Probably. Or maybe it would just eat you instead. The jousting minigame felt a bit weird in the PS1 version, and I don't even know why. The aiming is way more tricky to keep it in the right spot, but on PC it feels like it's actually glued to the correct position and you don't have to do anything even. I hate horses anyways because they once almost killed one of my uncles by kicking him. Dumb minigame. Who cares about horses when you can just blow up stuff with cannons? Sadly, you can only blow up the other cannons and not the whole castle. That would have been more fun. I just like to blow up things in games. Not in real life, that scares me. Every time our teacher did something like that in chemistry class, I just went under the desk to hide. After coming back, you luckily only have to collect 2 pages, but if you want to have a higher score, you can kill some bots. But killing is bad, so don't do that. Especially since they don't even do anything evil. It looks like the citizens of Lego Island even like them and don't mind them. So get to your helicopter and fly to the desert and jungle. Which was kinda hard for me to do on the PC version, thanks to the broken physics because of the too high frame rate. I even tried to change it in the Nvidia panel thing or trying to lower my monitor's refresh rate, but nothing helped. You shoot snakes, then you bang them on the head. Quite sad, isn't it? Someone on the dev team really hated snakes. I once had a friend who owned a snake and his room was a total nightmare during summers because the aquarium for the snake had to be heated and it was way too hot. This is also the part where my game kept crashing in the PC version, so maybe my PC just didn't want me to hit snakes, understandably. I hate fighting against snake mains. After that, you get to play memory, but be careful, you are not allowed to run into the skeletons or else Pepper gets so scared he has a heart attack. I know, I'm a scaredy cat myself, but I've never been close to dying because of it, I think. Normally I would have put a compilation of me here getting scared tons on stream by horror games, but that's too embarrassing. So instead, here's some Need for Speed for you. This is the part that normally never worked for me in the PC version because the FPS issue makes this one unbeatable. What do we learn from that? Never make your game tie its physics and stuff onto the frame rate. Something that developers still do, because one day your game will be playable with like 500 FPS and it will break it. Here's a PC exclusive minigame, fishing. You have to catch the big betta, and as a kid I loved it. Watching this nowadays though, not sure if I would still love it as much. Probably I would, since I am a big fan of fishing minigames. Every game needs it. That's the biggest crime of the modern Zelda games for me. I really do miss the fishing, so please Nintendo fix it or else I will be sad. You don't want me to be sad, do you? And then the best part of the game, dinosaurs. You get to ride on one, a T-Rex even. I only walked into the egg to feed him, not because I'm bad at video games. So he also has enough energy for this ultra cool dance. Reminds me of whenever you beat a level in Kirby. After saving some dinosaurs, it's sadly already over again, but at least you can meet the tribe people again who make magical noises when you try to talk to them. I think I prefer talking to dinosaurs. I wish they would be real. Sadly, they have never existed. Dragons did though. On PC you can even use a dinosaur to fly back instead of having to use a lame helicopter. Life really isn't fair sometimes to console plebs. Back on Lego Island, you already know what you have to do again, right? Collect some pages and get rid of the colored Brickster bots. This time you can't use pizza for it and instead have to get a boombox to make them dance to death. Isn't that a bit messed up? What makes these bots so much more special anyways? They look like the earlier colored ones. Somehow all of them are not even hiding. They're all just in the same place around the prison, as if they want to be caught. Maybe they regret their actions. Not like they had much of a choice, but still. It makes me feel bad for them. The Brickster also stole your papa and mama away. How devious of him. You can see anything else on this island, but not my parents, even though they're not Peppa's real parents since he was adopted. One day his dad just disappeared on an exploration. His mom, no mention of her anywhere in the wiki. Lego Island truly has some of the deepest lore. And it's time to go to space again. For that you need some training. I really love Peppa's face in the background here. If you do not like to train, then better grab the PS1 version since it has less training because you don't have to do the jump and landing by yourself and it just happens. I remember this being really fun, so I'm a bit sad it doesn't exist for the console players. It also makes me think, why the PlayStation 1? The PS2 was already out for a whole year at the release of Lego Island 2 and I think they could have ported the whole game onto that instead. Oh yeah, that probably cost a bunch of more money, and obviously it's better to make money with lesser products than with a good product. Not to say the PS1 version is that bad in comparison, but it just makes you wonder. So we reach Ogle Island, or I still prefer to just call it the moon, and it's a bit disappointing that the aliens here look like normal Lego people. Why aren't they green? Even the aliens in The Simpsons are green and not yellow. Nowadays there's some green Lego aliens though, so I'm jealous of the new generation. Even if Lego may be overpriced now, at least you got green aliens. Here they look more like clowns with 3 eyes, like the guy from Dragon Ball, who is also a clown. Who cares about aliens when we can bake pizza together with our parents to make everyone here happy? No one wants some pizza too. My favorite toppings are tuna fish with jalapenos. What about yours? Tell me in the comments if you want to. This might be the most obvious comment bait I've ever done in my life, and I haven't done much of that to begin with. I'm just interested in pizza, okay? The final showdown takes place at the top of the Brickster's tower that you first have to climb, and it's quite easy except sometimes some bricks will fall that don't even look like they will fall. Which is unfair, but again, that's just life. It's like stepping into a puddle that looks really tiny, but suddenly it turns out to be a sinkhole and you drown in it. One of my biggest fears in life, so I avoid every puddle I see, the dogs too. Shoot some pizza at the Brickster, and then for some reason he has this little cabin that looks like a toilet to stick his head into a bucket of water since the pizza was too spicy, even for him. Even though he loves spicy pizza. You know, I'm not a kid anymore. I'm also not into toilet humor either anymore. But I do still think that was maybe even a joke here. Him sticking his head into a bucket that makes you think it's a toilet so he eats poop. Maybe that's just the German inside of me talking, since for some reason people think we are into that kind of stuff. We are not, I think. Then the game ends and it even gets revealed that Pepper has a girlfriend. Good for him. I'm not jealous or anything like that. Would be weird since he is a Lego figurine. Who would be jealous of that? Not me, and that's the game. It's obviously not the best game ever, but it still has that cute charm that I love about it. Just a silly little Lego adventure that I really miss nowadays. But I already talked about it in my Lego Island 1 video how much I miss this generation of Lego games that actually try to be different and fill up tons of different needs. Now all Lego does is plaster a popular pop culture franchise together with it and the same gameplay. Wow. Also, while I was playing this game, I got reminded of the back of the Space Mountain and thought, why is this here? How can I enter it? A question I've asked myself as a kid already but never got the answer till now. If you type in Xtremes, there's a portal that appears since the studio's name is Silicon Dreams. Here you can meet the developers. Yay, I love things like this, like the Informaniac Museum from the Ratchet & Clank games. Sadly, there's not much more to it, but still, it's always cute to have these kind of rooms. I have covered Lego Island 1, Lego Island 2, even Lego Land, and every time I made a video on these games, I was dreading the day I have to talk about Lego Xtreme Stunts, which basically was Lego Island 3 in a way, even if it wasn't called that. It features Pepper and the Brickster, and that's enough for me to call it that way. Also, I know it's called Lego in English, but I'm German, so Lego just feels more natural to me. Maybe I shouldn't say this so I can farm lots of comments to tell me how to actually pronounce it. When I got the game as a kid, I could not play it. Why? Because the family PC was not good enough. Maybe you have made the same experience with gaming on the computer when you were young. Being so excited that you got a new game in one of your favorite franchises. Putting the disc into the CD tray and installing it, just to see that nothing else happens when you click the logo on your desktop. That was the day I learned what PC requirements were. I did not know such a thing can happen since it never happened before. From that day on, I was scared to buy PC games and just kept on playing on consoles instead till I became older and wiser. And got my first own PC, which was weak, but hey, at least now I knew I couldn't play certain games and had to pay attention. Because of this little trauma, I had a bad relationship with this game. At least it wasn't a toxic one like I had with my wife. No worries, she's gone for good now. The thing is, I played it for the first time a couple of years ago on stream and was insulting it left and right for the fun of it without giving it a real chance, but this time when I replayed it, I gave it a fair shot, so there's gonna be no bias at all, really, trust me. Just a normal review from a 57-year-old guy playing with Legos. Using the PS2 version of the game since it's the same game this time, unlike Lego Island 2 on the PS1, which lacked some minigames. Instead of going on an adventure all around the world, you are making a movie because Pepper isn't a simple pizza delivery boy anymore. Even though he still works as one too, he became a movie star, and here's the first thing I already have to complain about. They turned Pepper into a Hollywood star. With that I mean they sucked him dry of any personality he had. He does not even talk in this game. In 2, he was full of energy, a happy teenage boy who enjoyed saying I'm the dude with the food. And that's just gone. Pepper needs to have a peppy personality, and he also just looks totally wrong. His eyes are dead. What did Hollywood do to this poor boy? He looks as if his soul is not there anymore. Also, no more freckles. Why? It was such a big part of his simple design and they just removed them. Look at him on the cover. It feels like he's forcing that cocky smile way too much. Maybe the real Pepper died and got exchanged for a doppelganger. Maybe he also broke up with his girlfriend and it just changed him as a man since she doesn't even show up in this game. He traded his love for the money and the fake love he gets from the other actors around here. Sad. At least he still skates, and I have to say somehow skating in this game is just really fun. Way better than the skating in 2. You can go really fast with it and jump up high and do tricks. It feeds that part of my brain that loves to press buttons while I'm just walking down the street in a game, because otherwise that walk is way too boring. You can even grind. I just wish there would be more ramps out in the world and not just in the skate parks. Which Lego Island here has even 2 of. Can never have enough of those. If you don't want to use it, you can just walk around and jump around with your double jump, and that's cool. Double jumps are just the best in games. I wish I could do it in real life too. You can use it to jump up onto buildings that have bricks or cards for you that give you some information about the people here, like their favorite food. Or just grab a car, a jet ski or a plane, after you got your licenses for them. Pepper was already allowed to do that in 2 without having to take a test first, so maybe he lost his license in the time from 2 to 3. Don't drink and drive. Maybe it's just a little nod to Lego Island 2 on your GBA, since you had to get a driving license in that game too. Another thing Pepper can do is use his pizza attack. There is no use attacking people. You can terrorize them with pizza, but it doesn't matter. Better than being attacked by someone with a knife. Using a pizza against a lactose intolerant person like me is still a crime though, since some of those tummy aches can ruin your day. Or multiple days even. The game is a glorified minigame collection at its core, and in a way Lego Island 2 was that too, but it gave you a change of scenery. Here the how game plays on Lego Island. I wonder why it looks so different from the second game, which also looked different from the first game. I mean, it's Lego, so they can easily rebuild the island whenever and however they want, but still. It's bigger, but bigger doesn't always mean better. That's what I always have to hear. So you go around to the different sets to record the scenes for the movie, or do simple little quests on your way there. Like getting your stepdad's hat back after it flew away because this Brickster bot had too much fun blowing. What a silly little guy. Finding someone's car parts again, or just doing little missions like racing against a gnarly skeleton or a kung fu master, who is also great at skating. I wish I would be a master at one thing, but he's a master at two things. I want to see him do some kung fu on a skateboard. Maybe I should go watch Lego Ninjago. But that's not all. You can explore the island and find red bricks, sadly no brown bricks, which for some reason have this ugly red font blast themselves all over your screen whenever you pick up one. You even get more points when picking up many rapidly, like a true quick-shot person. Better hurry when picking them up to set a new high score. Or there's also golden bricks that are actually hearts of the animals on the island. A bit messed up, but when using a heart and some red bricks, you can build back the animals that then show up at places around the island. You get a whole 5 main minigames in the game. 5. Lego Island 2 had 19. And even if we count 2 of the non-main minigames, it's still only 7. One of them is pushing boxes around Sokoban style. The original push boxes around the screen game that many games were influenced by, even Zelda. It's funny too, since I love pushing boxes around. I wouldn't be a Zelda fan if I didn't after all. The other non-mainline minigame is Photo Fit, a sliding puzzle minigame where the game spoils you the solution when it shovels it around. It's not even really shuffling it, just do the thing the game does but in return and there you go. Why even bother? Just give me that puzzle already being shuffled. After the first one I should have just closed my eyes to give it some kind of challenge. I spent hours as a kid doing the puzzles in Wind Waker and loving it. It would have broken my poor heart if I had to do these as a kid, because it would have made me wonder, why are these so much more unfun than in Zelda? It would have turned me into a cynical monster at a young age. These also show that the Brickster is up to no good, since the goal here is to find evidence to see if the Brickster is trying to sabotage the movie. You have to crash into the Brickster over and over till his car explodes. That's it. You got a whole bunch of power-ups, but they're not really needed, or you can also do a big jump. Who doesn't love to jump with their car to scramble your brain around? My bigger question is, shouldn't my car also take damage when I bonk into him over and over? It would make the movie scene even cooler. Both cars getting destroyed, not just his. And yes, the Brickster is the villain of the movie, but totally not in the game actually. Totally. He turned over a new leaf and is a nice guy now, for sure. I mean, why would he still commit crimes after becoming an actor and being super duper rich from it, probably? Rich people would never do crime, right? At least I wouldn't, I think. Or maybe I would become evil. Maybe I am already evil. Better hope I don't win the lottery, if I would be playing that. I just don't have that gambler mindset, I guess. All of these minigames have 3 different Oscars for you to win, and they all get harder. Like on Gold he takes way less damage, so you have to crash into him more often in a stricter time limit. It's not the worst, but also not really that fun either. It's serviceable, but is serviceable enough when you don't have that many minigames? Shouldn't every one of them be a banger that bangs your wife and you happily enjoy it? After getting enough Oscars, you can move on to the next movie shooting. You are doing a motorbike race against the Brickster and have to avoid obstacles. Not too many at first, but playing on silver or gold, it actually gets decently challenging. Or maybe that's just because I'm old now and suck at video games. My reaction times were better once upon a time. If there's something on the ground and there's no ramp around, you have to do a wheelie over them, and it's easy to do except for these ocean things that I do not know the name of. Somehow these always made me stumble at first. When you jump, you can also do a trick, and the more exciting your trick is, the more your meter on the right fills up and it boosts your speed. It goes slower again if you don't do any tricks, and you're likely to get beaten by the Brickster if you don't do them. Or because you fall, and fall again. It really is pretty tricky when you do not know what's coming next and have little time to react on the higher difficulties. It's actually fairly fun, but I wish they would have made different tracks for each difficulty. They just throw more shit onto the ground instead of making a completely new level. I don't want to spoil it, but I have to say it already. This was my favorite minigame. It's a jet ski race and it really put me back to Lego Island 1, especially because of the music that plays since it's really similar to the one in the jet ski race in the first game. Racing in first person is cooler than third person, but this one goes fast as hell. Fast and Furious even. I have never seen a single movie of those. They should have just made 20 levels of this. I would have played them all. Sadly, it doesn't matter if a minigame is bad or good, you only get 3 levels of them. Unless it's pushing boxes, then you get tons of them. Not much more I can say about it. In a way, the most fun things in life are the ones you understand with the least amount of words possible. Like crying yourself to sleep every night, but happy tears because you appreciate life. This one was my least favorite one and I do not appreciate it. It just feels not fun to play. It's like Freeway Frenzy but with airplanes instead and way worse hitboxes. You have to fly through wings to collect fuel or surplus for your wings and engine, whatever that even means, and then boost into the Brickster to make his plane explode. Sometimes you clearly fly into him and it doesn't count as a hit, and sometimes hits that are hits don't feel like hits. Why not turn it into a shooting plane minigame like how it existed in Lego Island 2? That game was also not the best already, but way better than this. Don't kids love guns, especially guns on a plane, going pew pew to kill your opponent? It's not like Lego never released any sets without guns. Here it makes even less sense to crash one plane into the other plane, since planes are more sensitive than cars. I wouldn't want my pilot crashing into other planes. Not like I would want my bus driver to do the same, but I think the chance of survival is higher than with a plane. You are jumping out of the plane and have to collect a bunch of smarty pants, also called professors, and do some sick tricks and have to land safely in a circle at the bottom. This kind of minigame already also existed in Lego Island 2, so they couldn't even bother to truly make the few games unique, despite having so little of them. I don't even blame the developers for it, but the actual Lego company. If you look at the official actual Lego sets of the Xtreme Stunts line, you may see that most of them resemble the things in the game. It feels like they got told to make a game around these and they most likely tried their best, which sadly made the game worse, but apparently the sets also flopped really badly and they never went back to creating more of them. And well, I'm not surprised when looking at them. It's just a bunch of vehicles, a skateboard ramp and an extreme tower that is the complete opposite of extreme. So now after you have filmed all of these, you get to see the movie in its full glory. No, you don't. Obviously, the Brickster is doing his evil things again, who could have thought? They're letting the Brickster get away with it too much. If I were the president of Lego Island, I would have already executed him. Sometimes that's what people deserve, or at least pull his head off and put it into a different cell. Oh wait, they only got one prison cell. Since there has never been another game with Pepper and the Brickster, I would say they followed my advice. Rest in pieces. Instead of ending, you first get like 5 more minutes of gameplay, but the kind of gameplay that makes you wonder, why couldn't we have more of that? You first get to drive through wings and it's always fun, like in my favorite video game, Superman 64. I love how randomly it just ends and teleports you to the final stage, where the Brickster's goons have built a tower again. The Brickster really loves his towers at the end of the games. I wish I would be obsessed with something like that. And here's the deal, some may even call it the kicker. Why did they never make games like this? I would have loved an actual Lego Jumpin' back in the day. They just always put these towers into the end of the games and were like, yep, our job here is done. Why couldn't I have more of this? Because this was kind of fun. Like not the fun you will remember for the rest of your life, but the kind of fun you don't mind to have. I love having fun, yay! Jumping over platforms and actually engaging with something that didn't have to be done before. In the Lego Island games, it was always possible to change flowers, trees, the heads of the people living here, things like that, but it was always more of a cute little Easter egg. But here it's an actual gameplay mechanic suddenly, right at the end of the game. Sure, another quest made you change the color of some flowers, but here you have to turn these flowers into trees so you can jump over the wall like that, using out your skateboard to lay down a sick grind. Wow. So you reach the tower and have to get it up in a little 2D Jumpin' section, and I think if Silicon Dreams would still be an existing studio, Nintendo should hire them to make a new Donkey Kong game. The action here, the fun, the suspense, the details on the barrels, unmatched to this day. With an epic boss battle that surely wouldn't be out of place in a top 10 best boss battles ever video from Watch Mojo. The only time you really have to use your pizza attack to push him off the tower. With the Brickster turning into a baby. Maybe we have been too hard on him, maybe he just needs some people to talk to. Especially since we learn everyone else on the island got houses built for them, but he only got tiny little bricks that he found under their beds and stuff. No wonder he's so mean to everyone else. They wanted to bully him off the island from the start. This 10-second backstory scene redeemed him in my eyes. I now hate everyone on Lego Island except for him. What do you mean I'm easily manipulated? I'm not. Try it out if you want. At least he gets to watch the premiere of the movie. And you do too. The one thing I was looking forward to all along. It puts me right back in time when looking at these Lego CGI cutscenes in the other games and thinking, man, they should make a real movie like that. Then they did eventually and I never watched it. Probably because it just looks too clean. Looking at this, it makes me think this is what it should look like, but it's just the inner boomer talking inside of me. I love how surprised Pepper looks at his own movie. He should know what happens next. You can't be surprised if you know it. Probably. I don't know if real actors act like this too. I could easily find it out by simply googling that question, but I'm too lazy to do that. Maybe I should become one and make a bigger masterpiece than Fred the movie. All in all, it wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. Some minigames were even fun. Sadly, not all of them, and with such a low amount of them, that's a real deal breaker. It's like making a deal on Deal or No Deal and leaving with like 2,000 bucks. It's nice to have 2,000 bucks and everyone would take them, but you go to those shows to win way bigger, so it would still be disappointing to only win 2,000. There's one big saving grace, the OST is full of actual bangers. They even somehow managed to have Oasis make a song for them. Or the pop song Lego is All I Need that tries to manipulate your mind into thinking it's true so you become addicted to Lego. Or Minty Fresh, that's just a really cool wacky song. Since I can't really show their greatness in full, I would recommend listening to some of the vocal tracks. You never want to listen to another soundtrack afterwards. Now the video could be over, but luckily this game also existed on the Game Boy Advance. Actually, we are not lucky at all. This one just sucks. Straight up. Unlike Lego Island 2 for the GBA, this one is way closer to the original game, for the worse. It mostly takes the minigames from the main game and translates them over to absolute shovelware. The kind of game that you get for Christmas from your grandparents and think, wow, thanks Granny and Gramps, this will be the best game ever, and then you play it and have to force yourself to smile so you don't think you're a bad person for hating a gift. We have all been there. There are a few new additions like having to play summon sass with the Brickster and doing kung fu moves. Wouldn't it make more sense to use the actual kung fu character for it? And I really want to show you the sound effects whenever you or him do moves. Amazing, isn't it? I would love to sit on the bus and hearing this when I sit next to someone playing this on their GBA or on their phone emulator nowadays. Another exclusive minigame is Zoomer, you know, the game your mom probably played on Facebook all the time. Having to get 3 same colored balls in a row so you shoot them around to make that happen. Or pizza, why not at least put some effort into it? Make some pizza with jalapenos, some with french fries, anything. Why are these just colored balls? I get why, having to see such little details on a tiny GBA display would be a pain, but still. It makes it look worse than it is, since it's not a bad game but maybe a bad fit for a Lego Island game. I wish No More Heroes 2 had Zoomer as a minigame to earn cash. Most of them are a tiny bit changed, like how the motorbike mayhem is still a race but now it controls more like a trials game, where you have to tilt the bike correctly to keep your speed, and well, I do like the trials games, but here it's not so much fun. Luckily you don't even need to win the race, getting second is fine too, and I'm happy about it because I would have not made it past this then. You really gotta learn where to boost here to get the easy routes. I played this version for an hour and I couldn't go on anymore, it became too repetitive. The same minigames over and over. In the real game you at least had the overworld to do something else every once in a while, but here you just go from level to level on this ugly world select screen. A bit sad since the Lego Island 2 version on the GBA was pretty good and charming, and here they couldn't be asked to give people a decent product. But that's life. I looked at a long play of it and the minigames really just repeat themselves till the end, nothing new added. At least the sliding puzzle minigame in this version was actually harder than the PS2 or PC version, since it shovels way more often and you can't just track them back. Still not extremely hard, but for puzzle slider fans it's worth a look. Actually it's not, I just wanted to sound like a generic gaming magazine would have written that line back in the day. In the end, Xtreme Stunts is for me the worst entry in the franchise, and in a way I'm happy it doesn't really carry the true title of a Lego Island game. Not like it really matters. I'm not gonna pretend the first 2 games were masterpieces, but they at least felt like they were made because they wanted to be made, if that makes sense. Here, it just felt that the Lego company told the developers, hey, we gotta make a quick buck with this game to sell these sets, so we will give you a year to make a game with a budget of 2 gummy bears and some pennies. Maybe that's just my nostalgia talking or my hatred for this being the first game I ever got that didn't work because of my own incompetence. I will spare you the talk about how I miss the more creative Lego games from the past because I've already done that in my video about Lego Island 1 and also 2. And I don't want to sound too much like a boomer. So with that said, I hope you enjoyed the video and will have a good day, a good night or whatever fits your time zone, and maybe one day Peppa gets another game. I think the chances of me finding another wife are higher than that though. But you know what they say, never say never. Unless you're a big shot at Lego. Bye bye.